with Mr. Benn. Balancing the state budget is especially difficult in a depressed economy. Can you tell us in very specific terms how you would cut spending and or increase revenues in the next year in the legislature?
Well, I don't believe revenue is the problem. I see that we've increased our revenue. 7% is the projection that will increase this next year. That's a pretty good mark. As a small business owner and talking to other businesses, they would love to enjoy a 7% increase. So I don't think we need to increase revenue. I think we need to target how we're spending our money, not in reducing services, but in reducing waste. I believe that waste is where the loss is.
Okay, Mr. Oyler.
Yes, I believe we need to return to a priorities of government budgeting model. Gary Locke and Dino Rossi came together and created this about a decade ago almost, and it was when the current majority leader went away from that. If we go to the priorities of government budgeting model, that makes the legislature identify priorities, but it makes each agency identify their priorities, and it goes into thirds, kind of most needy, kind of top, medium, and low. So each agency will have to sit down and create a list of, hey, what are the most important programs that we run, and that way you can actually identify what is necessary. And I believe if we return to that, if we can get the economy growing, that we will have enough revenue to provide the services to the people of Washington.
Okay, Mr. Riccelli.
The 3rd District has over 57% of its folks using some sort of form of DSHS. Revenue is a problem, and we can start by closing egregious tax loopholes. I believe that if we look at some of the tax loopholes for out-of-state banks, for cosmetic surgery, these types of things that have been on the books and have not sunset or haven't been reviewed, that we can gain some revenue back. I do, however, believe that we also need to be smart about how we spend, and we have to look at our priorities. We need to fully fund our K-12 education, we need to protect our social safety net, and I'll never turn away from the needs of our seniors, our crime victims, and our most needy individuals.
Okay, Mr. Snyder.
Well, I was at Odyssey Youth Center the other day, and I was amazed at how many of these high school kids just about to graduate all knew students that had good enough grades to get to college but couldn't afford to go. So if you tell a college student, maybe one that's already in college where their tuition has been raised year after year, that what we have is not a revenue problem, I think you probably get some disagreement. Also, if you ask people who have had their basic health care cut in the last couple budget cycles, I think they would disagree with that as well. So what do? Well, we need to always look for more efficiency in government. And I've done that on city council, and I'll do it at the state. But we're kidding ourselves if we think that we can go on spending less every year per capita on citizens in the state of Washington than we did just 25 years ago. Our budget may have grown, but per capita it has shrunk. We need to close loopholes. We need to look at new revenue.
Thank you. Mr. Apple.
Well, it's true. We need to cut tax loopholes. The state offers a wide variety that probably shouldn't be there, obviously shouldn't be. They need to be sunsetted if they are continued, but they need to be removed. It's also true that we need to prioritize at state level what are the essentials that government should be providing and limit those and fund those primarily that must be. Yes, K-12 is number 1 on the list. It's stated in our state constitution. So that's what we have to do. But I would also look at limiting or removing some of the restrictions on business and business operations. Because if we don't get business moving in the state, creating jobs, those people that are out of work aren't going to have jobs. We have to reduce the restrictions that are prohibiting businesses from growing in our community. And during a tough economic time, we have to become competitive. Other states are becoming competitive that way, and we are not. And so we need to cut back on some of the regressive restrictions to our business.
Okay, thank you. Now that you've heard each other, I'm going to give you a chance for 30 more seconds if you have more to say on this issue or want to comment on something someone else has said. Mr. Benn?
Yeah, I believe Bob Apple's right in that we do have regulations that are killing jobs. I've seen a lot of companies locally here leave the area and close down because of over-regulation. That is one area we need to deal with that will increase revenue without adding taxation.
Okay, Mr. Oyler?
Yes, I think we're having a discussion that has two extremes, whether we cut services or we increase taxes. I think there's kind of a middle ground that we can take, where if we can promote policies that grow the economy, add the number of jobs that are available both in Spokane and statewide, that the state budget or the revenues will grow naturally without increased taxes, without closing loopholes, without taking more money out of the pockets of hardworking people, that a growing economy is the best thing to help the budget.
Okay, Mr. Riccelli?
Yes, I think that one of the things that I'm hopeful is that the high courts will uphold the two-third ruling as unconstitutional. I fundamentally believe that the legislature has been hamstrung by that, and that it is not taking into account the simple majority that is the framework of our Constitution.
Okay, Mr. Snyder?
Well, I think if we're going to wait to grow our way out of this recession, we're going to be waiting a long time. Washington State is a very competitive state. We do a lot of things great here. We have a lot of terrific industry. But as we create more situations where businesses can be successful, we also have to get serious about funding our priorities. I think that means looking at things like a capital gains tax. It's historically low on the federal level, so why not institute one at the state level and fund things like education?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Apple?
Well, I'd have to say that tax increases are not the way to save us and not to get us out of this problem. Really, the way to get us out of this problem is to reduce restrictions that are really hamstringing our businesses. I talk to people every day. People are being laid off from their jobs because their employer's telling them, look, we have restrictions on how we can operate. We can't seem to do this. We can't seem to keep you on board and sell our products, so we have to let you go. I want to see that stopped. I want to see businesses proactive and able to grow here in Spokane and compete around the country and around the world.
Okay, thank you.